Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Premier Clear Politics. Only Trump can save America. Yeah, that's a pretty awesome title for the article. But Steve Cortes goes into detail why. Let's read on. I believe that Republican voters are ready for a new post-Trump chapter of the America First movement. I now believe I was wrong. Before we get into the rest of the article, I want to mention another channel that I have. I'll put it up here on the screen. I'll leave the link in the description to it. It seems this channel is getting pushed down pretty badly, and with the election coming up in 2024, I think it's going to get worse. So those of you that are subscribers to my channel, first of all, thank you. And second of all, if you could subscribe to the other channel in the link, when I get to 1,000 subscribers there, I'm going to start putting videos there to see if it takes off. This one is doing really well, but it's just trudging along. I was doing so well, and then the kibosh was put on this channel by the powers that be. I'm hoping to start another one maybe without such pressure on it to maybe open up the channel, get monetized. Every time I get close to getting monetized, they knock me back down. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the article. Those of us who back Ron DeSantis or other Republican candidates should read the room. Former President Trump winnowed the field effortlessly and then crushed the remaining three candidates in Iowa. He leads in the polls everywhere else. It is time to coalesce and unite behind the clear preference of the GOP grassroots, Donald John Trump. I agree. You know, it's for somebody like Cortes or somebody that's in the public eye, to admit they were wrong is a big deal because they got pretty good egos. We do not have the luxury of further internal strife and instead must gird for an epic battle this autumn against our opponents who are inflicting daily damage upon America. I agree. For every dollar spent by Ron DeSantis and or Nikki Haley is money that could have been used to fight the progressive Democrats and Joe Biden. Let's just tell the truth here. It's wasted money. What was it in Iowa? $100 million they spent between their PACs and themselves. That's money that could have been put in the war chest of the Republicans. And as soon as we get rid of the RNC chairman, Ronnie McDaniel, then we could have we're clear sailing to the November election. Any further time, capital, or effort spent attacking the front runner, especially with Democratic Party-like talking points, only dilutes the power of our cause as we head toward November. Who are these patriotic voters rallying so overwhelmingly to Trump? Clearly they admire the resilience of this outsider who has been reviled by the ruling class that has nothing but contempt for everyday Americans. Voters still see in Trump a fighter and champion for the forgotten and ill-used citizens of the United States. Americans also rallied to his side as he faces an onslaught of corrupt persecutions from politicized, dirty prosecutors and undemocratic efforts to remove his name from state ballots. Yep, we confront a perilous moment in U.S. history. That's true. And everybody says this election is going to most important election in a lifetime, and say that every 4 years. But you know what, though? This time it's actually true. I think the beginning of that was 2016. We confront a perilous moment in U.S. history. Our country suffers from sky-high violent crime, the ravages of an effectively open border, a subversive educational system, subversive is being kind, and the anxiety of an economy that pushes workers, all brought about deliberately by Biden and his allies. To give you an idea, I saw a poll from the Iowa caucus that half of the Nikki Haley voters there, because it's an open primary state, would vote for Joe Biden. Half. At such a flashpoint in history like this one, political unity among conservatives is an imperative. A second Biden term would risk the permanent loss of our republic as we know it. Moreover, the very plausible scenario of Vice President Kamala Harris taking over for a weakened Biden makes the already troubling outcomes even more bleak. My understanding is she is the most unpopular vice president since the history of polls. So those you anti-Trumpers on the progressive Democrat side, the old neocon Republicans like Romney and all the rest, the old school Republicans, you have to change your tactics. The Republicans have to come together. The Democrats vote in a block in Congress. It makes for lousy legislators, but it makes for good politics. This is about winning the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Why are they so afraid of Donald Trump? Because he'll destroy our democracy? First, we're not a democracy, thank God. They want to destroy him because he's going to expose them all. This is about power, control, and money. Make no mistake about it. Regarding the border disaster, December marked a new monthly all-time high for migrants, illegal migrants, crossing into our homeland. Over 300,000 of them. This lawless chaos extends far beyond incompetent mismanagement and instead represents a purposeful move to effectively vaporize the border and the idea of American national sovereignty. Couldn't agree more. It's very well written. The border crisis, in turn, worsens the economic calamity inflicted by Biden and Harris. Millions of new workers compete unjustly and illegally in the labor market against American citizens. Those hardworking Americans have already seen their wages decline markedly since Biden took office. Meaning pay adjusted for costs of inflation are Biden, Americans work harder to get poorer. That's true. When the increase in wages doesn't cover the inflation rate, you are digging a hole deeper for yourself. In addition to restoring the buying power of regular workers, we must resurrect American self-confidence. In a Wall Street Journal poll, fully 78% of Americans said that future American generations will not live better. By far the worst pessimism ever recorded in the survey, which goes back 3 decades. My understanding, if you look at it in real money, owning your own home, all those things that used to be a given in this country, this is the second generation in a row that's worse off than the previous generations. And to my knowledge, 2 generations in a row, coming up on 3 being worse, has never happened in the history of the country with all our setbacks. Since Biden team and media allies realize that running on such a record presents massive hurdles, do you think? They choose to demonize not just Trump, but tens of millions of Americans who gravitate towards his can-do message of hope. Yeah, is he as great of a public speaker, Trump, as Obama? No. Is he as good as Clinton? No. I mean, in all fairness, he's not a very good public speaker. It doesn't make him a bad guy. I mean, I'm not a very good golfer. Does that make me a bad guy? It's just some things you're just not good at. But Trump is getting a lot better, believe me, a lot better. So they enlist shamelessly partisan prosecutors to concoct sham charges, all the while pretending that's what's really happening is a far greater violation of their previous norms than anything Donald Trump ever did. They are using the system, twisting it and turning it unlawfully, in my opinion. It's incredible. I've never seen them persecute a high office candidate, a former president, as Donald Trump, with all these charges. It's incredible to me. It's incredible. And those of you old school Democrats that believed in equal justice under the law, your hypocrisy is so incredibly obvious. You have to understand something. If the system protects people you don't like, or even bad people for that matter, then it protects everyone. Because then, if they're going to point it at Trump, who's going to turn around and point at somebody else they don't like? It's amazing to me Their scheme was to have prosecutors employed by the Justice Department or big city Democrat Party hacks attempt to jail Biden's chief political opponent. This is from the political party that rails endlessly about threats to democracy. We're a republic, thank God. And that's what they want. They want a multicultural democracy. That's to be a disaster. Everyone knows people like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Biden and Harris and all of them say democracy, 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 democracy. Pure democracies are a disaster. There's a reason why we're a republic. And yet that has been the theme pushed by Democrats and their media allies since before the 2022 midterms. In his notorious and menacing red sermon speech in Philadelphia, Biden essentially slandered half the country who supported Trump in 2020 as having fascist tendencies. That's his deplorables. Remember the Hillary Clinton, the basket of deplorables? He then escalated those attacks with his Valley Forge speech only last week. In order to persuade voters on the merits, the Biden-Harris team pursues a scorched earth strategy that includes tactics ranging from politicized prosecutions of Trump to wholesale character assassination of Americans for him. This supposed blue-collar ally takes perverse delight in spewing propaganda that punches down at salt-of-the-earth deplorables. So what is the solution to this present crisis? How do we save America? It is time to unify behind former President Trump as he leads the battle against the ruling class and the oligarchs intended on destroying the American way of life. I implore all patriotic populists to join as I pledge to do all I can to work for Trump's cause, just as proudly as I did in 2016 and 2020. With the America First movement actually acting fully in concert, which means everybody together, we will win an historical electoral victory that leads to a full restoration of American greatness. We do live in the greatest Republican country in the world. Though not perfect, we've done some horrible things in the past, in the fair near past as well. This is an ancient history. We've done some terrible things, but the good we've done in the world has far outweighed any of the bad. I'm going to look at the first sentence here because I think it's important before we move on. I believe that Republican voters are ready for a new post-Trump chapter of the America First movement. I now believe I was wrong. For somebody with that kind of exposure to admit they were wrong is a big deal, especially with the egos a lot of these guys have. So there you go, folks. Whether you hate Donald Trump's guts, you think he's the most wonderful thing since sliced bread, or you're somewhere in between. History, maybe Providence, whatever you want to call it, has put Donald Trump in this spot in history. He's the only person, with the help of many others, if he's elected, that can save this country from going down the toilet even further. We've been in tough spots before. But in my lifetime, and I'm 67, I've never seen this country in so much trouble. Donald Trump, as far as the people running for president, is the only person that can turn this around. And how do I know that? Is because he's done it before. And he's learned from his mistakes in personnel and hiring when he was president and many other things. One thing about Donald Trump with all his faults, when he makes a major mistake, he never makes that mistake again. That's been his MO in his business, real estate businesses, as well as on television. Once you make a major blunder, you never make that mistake again. Talk about on-the-job training. There is no one more qualified of all the candidates, including Joe Biden, to be president of the United States. Why? Because he already was president of the United States. That puts him on a very small list of people that can save this country. So there you have it, folks. An opinion piece, in my opinion as well. Someone admitting they were wrong. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.